Hey guys, Peanut here, and welcome to the final Hungry Hermits video. The first Hungry Hermits idea that I shared was adding mold to the freezer with glow lichen. Those ideas being mobile orders, as well as a drive-through. And for this third and final video, I have come up with 3 new ideas to show you guys. I'm calling this my final Hungry Hermits video because the first video I did was a really good idea in my opinion, and the video has done amazing so far. The second video was a little bit rushed for me, not in terms of production, but in terms of the idea. The whole glow lichen acting as mold was a really cool and unique idea that not only made sense for a cooking kitchen game, but also it took advantage of some unique quirks to do with Minecraft mechanics. But the next 2 ideas that I came up with the drive-through and the mobile orders, I think they're definitely good ideas and they can fit into the game, but they weren't as unique as the original. I wasn't taking advantage of any unique Minecraft mechanics. I was just coming up with ideas for the game because it is a restaurant. Although the mold in the freezer concept was by far my most unique idea so far, I have been pushing myself to try to find another idea, and I think I've landed a couple pretty good ones. Let me show you. As you can probably assume, this right here is simulating a nether portal, and what you do is you'll hit the button and we'll have some sort of timer going on where you'll have to wait. That way there's some tension with the busyness of the game. And you'll go inside and you'll be quote unquote in the nether. And there's a miniature little nether fortress here with a blaze to create a bit of an obstacle. And you'll come in and you'll collect some sort of item and make your escape. Now, obviously the hermits wouldn't just cheat in a monster spawner, but I assume that if they did this, they would create a custom model and apply it to a block or something to make it look like a spawner. If the item that you get from the nether is a blaze powder, for example, then that will allow you to fuel any brewing stands you'll need for orders, since some of the foods that customers can order will be some potions. Now, a pro and con with this idea is the fact that one blaze powder lasts pretty much forever. I don't think you will play a game of Hungry Hermits without ever needing more than one blaze powder in this situation. And the downside to that is that there's this whole large addition to the game that you'd only use maybe once. Instead of a blaze powder, you could get a blaze rod. Now, what's good about the blaze rod is that not only can you get the blaze powder from it in order to fuel your brewing stands, but depending on how cooking food works in the game, this could also be a method of getting fuel for the furnaces. One of my favorite parts about Hungry Hermits so far is that it's a pretty flexible game as far as ideas. Throughout the rounds, the game can get harder over time, and you can also unlock upgrades to make it easier for you. And the other hermits will be able to make their own maps, which means that they sort of have a creative freedom if they want to add fun things like a nether. And the nether could be sort of a setting for hard mode, or something that would be a part of a difficult map. If it were, that would mean you would have to go to the nether every time you needed some fuel for your furnace. But as fun as that idea is, you could add it to the game just as easily as you could leave it out. So let me show you the cooler ideas. You might have seen this behind me. It's small and compact. And behind here, we actually have a shulker stuck in a minecart. Now, I know what you're thinking. Shulker pellets can wander around and loop back to the poor shulker, and if it damages itself, it could duplicate and create a whole shulker mess. And although that is true, this is a little setup that I've actually added to a dungeon crawler of mine a while back, and I never had that issue. So I'm confident that if you did this correctly, you could perfectly safely add a shulker into the kitchen, into the game. And the obvious obstacle here is you're running around cooking and you have to dodge these pellets once the shulker appears. Sometimes they don't come out, sometimes they do, so it's not too overwhelming. But obviously if you get hit, then you're going to start levitating upwards and difficulty moving around and all that kind of stuff. Not necessarily as cool as another idea, but it's much more applicable, in my opinion. But still, I think I have a much cooler idea to show you, and this is the third and final one. And it all has to do with this stall disc in my hand. As you know, the customers of this game have patience. They'll come into the restaurant all, looking up and cheery and excited to get some food, but slowly over time, as they're waiting for their food, they'll get sleepier and sleepier, and eventually they crash. And if a customer falls asleep, you lose. An idea that can piggyback off of this is music in the lobby, a common thing for restaurants everywhere. Now, I know that there will already be music in the game, but hear me out on this one. The way that this will work is that it won't actually play any audible music, and it won't even be a vanilla music disc. As you probably know, the Hermits have access to creating custom music discs for custom sounds and effects. So the way this would work is that they'd make their custom music disc and attach a custom audio track for, let's say, 30 seconds, but that audio track is actually deafened. So whenever you reset the audio music, it'll start playing, and you can see the little notes coming off of the jukebox, so you know that there's lobby music. But it won't actually make any noise, so it won't interfere with any of the in-game sound effects or music. Now, like I said, this audio track would maybe last 30 seconds, and once a music disc has finished playing its sound, it will actually automatically pull out of the jukebox from a hopper, and in the system it will get recycled, but it won't go back into the jukebox. It'll actually get dispensed on top of this jukebox, and it will look something like that. So you're running around doing your task and you're like, okay, let me check what's going on in the dining room, and one of the things you'll see is the music disc is no longer in the jukebox, and you'll be like, oh crap, I might have to empty my hand and be quick and then throw it back in the jukebox as fast as I can. So it's another thing that the player not only has to interact with, but they have to have an open slot for it, which I think is great. And there's a couple different ways you can implement this idea. It can either be a reliant idea, to where if there's no lobby music playing, then the Hermits will get more and more drowsy faster. Or it can be sort of an unlockable upgrade that you can choose between rounds, where you extend the duration of the Hermit's patience, so they will get drowsy less often. And this really opens the door to add more upgrades to the game. The base music disc to start out with could last 20 seconds, and you can later upgrade it to last 40 seconds, and the max could be a whole minute. And obviously the longer the music disc lasts, the less you'll have to worry about it and check out on it and switch it out. It's another quaint little idea to add to the game, but I think it really fits, just the whole mechanic of lobby music that you have to manage, and that's really fits into the game well. The game takes certain aspects of a restaurant and emphasizes the chaos of managing everything. And it's not just as simple as, oh, press the button, play more music, yada yada. Like, it really works in the existing mechanics of the game. And it creates an immersive atmosphere that you are working in your restaurant and taking care of everything. Now, like I said, this will be my final Hungry Hermits video. I finally had some inspiration of a really great idea. This one might not be as amazing as the glow lichen mold idea, but I really do think this is a fun, immersive idea that should be added to the game. Like I mentioned earlier, Hermits will be able to make their own maps at some point, and once that starts happening, I might do a few more videos over certain ideas. Like this nether idea, for example. I think this would be great if it was a unique feature, a part of just a few maps that are added to the game. But it shouldn't necessarily be added to the base game. So once some Hermits start making their own maps, I might do some videos in that fashion. I'm pretty sure Etho is really looking forward to making his own map for this game, and depending on what he's looking for, I could probably cook up some pretty unique ideas that would fit his vision. But until then, I'm going to put more time into the SMP videos that I've been doing, as well as bringing back some old projects. Before you is a picture of a dungeon crawler that I spent over 2 years building in survival Minecraft. Actually, on the Black Block server. And this is only like half, actually less than half of the entire dungeon. It's insanely massive, tons of work into it, super unique. I was inspired by Decked Out to build it, but it is vastly different, and I went my own direction with it. And I promise I'll be doing more content on that very soon, so stay tuned for that. And this is another huge project that I'm going to be bringing back. It is my very own AntFarm survival map. The AntFarms, if you don't know, were a big hit back in the day, like over 10 years ago, and they were survival adventure maps that had so much fun. It was dungeons and special items and special mobs to fight, and it was really exciting. And looking back at those, although they were exciting, we can definitely do better in the modern day, and that's exactly what I plan to do with this map. What you can see in front of you is just a faint glimpse of what it's going to be once it's finished, so definitely stay tuned for that as well. It's going to be exciting. Not only will I be showing off that dungeon crawler I mentioned, but I will also be doing development videos over creating the next dungeon crawler, which is going to be a lot bigger and a lot better. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching, and I bid you all a farewell.